My name is Roland Anglin, and I am the Dean of the college here. And you know, I do a lot of welcomes, but this is a pleasure for me to do this welcome. I have teenagers, and you learn the lingo of teenagers, and one of the things they've taught me is to find your people. Well, I think I've found my people here, you all, because I've made it my life's work in terms of my research and practice to try and link and find sustainable communities in a region. And that's the reason that I'm so thrilled that you are here today and the work that you carry on every day. Now, yes, this has been my life's work, but it's been the work of the college for some period of time. CSU has a history of support for regional efforts, particularly in Northeast Ohio, and its Northeast Ohio Sustainable Communities Consortium and the evolution to Vibrant Neo. We recognize that our phenomenal assets such as Lake Erie, our philanthropic foundations, our sports teams, Go Browns, the Cleveland Orchestra, Playhouse Square, our Metro Park system, and the National Park are truly regional assets upon which we can build. We also recognize that our challenges in reimagining our economy and workforce are regional, and that they are best addressed when we work together beyond governmental, jurisdictional, educational, and public-private boundaries. CSU, and particularly the college, was the primary supporter of the original Sustainable Communities grant proposal, lending hundreds of hours of staff time, which paid off with $4.2 million in the fall of 2010 that led to the Vibrant Neo framework. Our staff led the 3-university consortium which supported the GIS evaluation of future scenarios in the 12-county area as part of that project, along with Youngstown State and Lorain Community College. Our staff has been involved in the Quality Connected Places Work Group and contributed to many other efforts of NEOSCC. Our leadership, the college's leadership, continues to participate as an active member of the Vibrant Neo board. This all should culminate into what you should see as our continuing commitment to this network. And I can only say that I am personally committed, and the college is committed to its continuance and vibrancy. So with that, welcome. I hope that your deliberations are fruitful, and I'd like to throw it over to Grace Gallucci, a good friend. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Dean Anglin. I appreciate your time. I know you are very busy, and it is very, very nice to have a personal welcome from you, and I really appreciate knowing that we are your peeps. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Grace Gallucci, Executive Director of NOACA. That's my primary role, but I am also Chair of the Vibrant Neo Board. This is the first year, the first ever Vibrant Neo Champion Awards Luncheon. And we are very excited to kick off this awards initiative to honor leaders in our community who are working hard to make Northeast Ohio a more equitable, sustainable, and economically successful region. Before I get started, however, I wouldn't be doing my job as NOACA Executive Director, which means that I wouldn't be able to do my job as Chair, to tell you a little bit about our agency. As many of you know, this is a very exciting year for NOACA, as well as many of my other MPO colleagues who are also represented here today, such as Jim Kinnick from Eastgate. This year, NOACA is celebrating 50 years of planning and service to Northeast Ohio. Over the years, NOACA has evolved and grown into a vital transportation and environmental planning agency. NOACA works hard each day to meet its vision of strengthening regional cohesion, preserving existing infrastructure, building sustainable multimodal transportation system, and why? To support economic development and enhance the quality of life in Northeast Ohio. You can see the alignment of NOACA's vision and the Vibrant Neo vision in much of what Dean Anglin said. I want you to know that NOACA is making good on its long-term vision for the future by implementing regional projects, projects of regional significance and projects that connect those points within the region. This year, our capital program invested $62.6 million in Northeast Ohio. We improved 32 miles of roadway, rehab bridges, replaced 32 transit vehicles, and more. And when I say more, we've also awarded $1.8 million in projects to serve older adults and individuals with disabilities. We are also investing $47 million in 21 projects around the regions that are aimed at relieving congestion, and how? Not by building more lane miles, but by promoting active transportation and specifically supporting transit and bicycle networks. We're continuing to invest where it matters most by directing funds to preserve existing infrastructure. We're very fortunate in Northeast Ohio. We are a legacy community. That means, besides being old, we have got terrific assets. And those assets are rivaled, and I'm looking at this camera, okay, do you have the shot? Thank you. Cheryl works for NOACA and works very hard to get these, so I thought I'd give her an assist. But we're very fortunate in having a legacy community that has transit, that has an abundance of a road network. We were built for a region that was projected to be much larger than what we actually are. And although that can sometimes be something that might want to hold us back, it's also an opportunity for us to do more creative things with those excess capacity, as well as looking at how to simply spend more of our dollars invested in maintaining and preserving that legacy infrastructure. And the Transportation for Livable Communities initiative that NOACA hosts continues to be an ever-popular program which facilitates that, investing in projects to enhance livability, making neighborhoods, particularly the existing communities, places where people want to live, work, and play. And why? Because they're better connected to those assets that they need. Additionally, our transit-oriented development scorecard and plan has defined investment-ready sites within our region to promote economic opportunity by linking residents with transit-rich environments and employment and service destinations. On a personal level, and I say this on behalf of my board as well as myself, I want to make the point that NOACA is an organization that has dedicated much effort to equity and equity planning. And being here in Cleveland State University's atrium, where Professor Norm Krumholtz is a legend, and having authored the book Equity Planning, and if those of you who know Norm Krumholtz know that anytime he travels in the planning circles, he's like a rock star. People follow him around asking for his autograph. But knowing how important equity is to our community, and we have a very generous community that understands the meaning of equity. But knowing that transportation is the foundation for economic opportunity, NOACA has worked towards a transportation system that allows access for all people, providing freedom of choice so people can access jobs, schools, doctors, and improve the quality of life for themselves and those communities that they live in. Again, Vibrant Neo aligns well with this. So I'm proud of the work that our agency has done. I'm proud to serve as the Vibrant Neo chair, and I'm proud to continue to work towards a more equitable, sustainable, and economically successful region. Again, the NOACA policies and initiatives that I've described reflect those principles of Vibrant Neo 2040. The reason that we're all here today, let me ask a question. Who here is familiar with Vibrant Neo 2040? Okay, maybe half. So some of this is new to some of you. And so maybe you are attracted by the projects that we were talking about. You wanted to stop by knowing that Cleveland State always has terrific programs, so whatever they have, it must be something good. But we're going to tell you a little bit about it. But I don't want to dwell on the past in terms of what the effort meant. I want to talk about the future and where the plan and where the effort is going. And so I'll give you a quick refresher on Vibrant Neo and our mission, but not a whole lot of time to be spent on it. 8 years ago, as Dr. Anglin said, a group of key Northeast Ohio players, including the MPOs, city and county governments, and the MPOs are metropolitan planning organizations, and we had Greater Cleveland, Greater Akron, Greater Canton, and Greater Youngstown as the lead organizations in this effort, in addition to local governments, housing authorities, and more, such as the metro parks. But we agreed to come together to pursue a federal grant and establish a new independent initiative. It was and still remains an unprecedented effort within this region and across the country. We did this planning effort across 12 counties around those 4 metropolitan areas and around the common goal of strengthening Northeast Ohio. Too many times we think of Northeastern Ohio as whatever it means to us, but really it's whatever it means to us collectively. Northeast Ohio is, in fact, more than the sum of its individual parts. And once we received the grant, we started working on a truly regional sustainable communities framework. And that's how the Northeast Ohio Sustainable Communities Consortium was created, often referred to as NEOSC. We have rebranded ourselves, so we are now Vibrant Neo 2040, and that rebranding comes from the plan's name. So NEOSC was the organization, this collaborative 34-member board, and the output was that plan. The output was titled Vibrant Neo 2040, Vibrant Neo 2040, and so that's what we're continuing to call this effort because we're beyond just that planning. We are now into execution. So building upon the original 30, I said 4, but it's probably 32, 33? 33, okay, I was in the middle. Or was it? The consortium added 10 additional members who committed additional funding. What we're talking about when we say funding, much of it is local match, meaning volunteers, meaning the work that we do. And the Vibrant Neo board that exists today is one that really includes more than just the governmental agencies and the planning organizations. We've added businesses and we've added philanthropy, 2 key components of what makes a region not only great, but sustainable and future-oriented. The framework for our future focused on wanting to make Northeast Ohio vibrant, sustainable, and resilient. We had 4 themes, 8 objectives, 9 recommendations, and 41 initiatives. Not to spend a whole lot of time on them, because certainly if you want all the detail, you can go onto the website and pull the plan. The plan is an award-winning APA plan. It was awarded in 2015, award by the American Planning Association, the Burnham Award, which is its highest award for a planning document. But theme number 1 talks about strengthening established communities. The recommendations focus on new residential and commercial development on sites within established community, including the development of robust networks of job centers that are connected by multimodal transportation. And to the end of trying to facilitate this within a legacy community, pursuing the remediation, assembly, marketing, and redevelopment of abandoned properties. Theme number 2 focused on increased transportation choice. Oops, I think I skipped recommendation 4. I'm sorry, Amy, you can go back. Encouraging a high frequency of mixed-use development and a range of diverse, affordable housing options. Again, trying to consider where we're coming from before we move towards where we're going. But in theme number 2, increased transportation choice, I saw one of my favorite colleagues, Dr. Flouncey Caver here from the GCRTA, and I want him to know, I don't know that he worked much on the plan. I think he was busy in operations a few years back when we were developing this, but it certainly highlights the role of public transit and asks for the region to enhance and coordinate the region's rail and bus services in order to increase regional mobility and improve public health. To that end, we're also enhancing or encouraging the enhancing of walking and cycling. Theme number 3, to preserve and protect natural resources. There we have recommendation number 7. Very simply, preserve our natural areas for future generations. And I think that's the key. Preserve future generations. Also, support sustainable agriculture. What we don't often realize is in our 12-county region, we have a tremendous amount of agriculture. And the local food system in Northeast Ohio is terrific. We want to keep that sustainable. And lastly, theme number 4, promote collaboration and efficiency. I see a lot of local government mayors. I think I saw Mayor Annette Blackwell. I don't know if I saw any other mayors. If there are any other mayors, please stand. Oh, at the table of Mahoning County. I apologize. I don't know these mayors, so I don't recognize them. But yes, we do have a table full of folks from Mahoning Valley who worked on an initiative that we will talk about later. And I can't see, I'm sorry? Oh, Mayor Weiss, there you are. Oh, next to Jerry Chaikin. Okay. Sorry, I don't have glasses on, so I'm having trouble. You know, it's either I see far or I see short, right? And I can't do either one of them well right now. And oh, and Mayor Kraus right there from Solon. So thank you all for coming. It is important to understand that none of this happens without the push and the pull from local governments. Mayors do a tremendous amount of work to shape the communities that we live in. They are the closest we have to the citizens themselves. They understand the citizens, they listen to the citizens, and they communicate to the rest of us in government what we need to do to satisfy the constituents to make this a truly livable place. At this time, federal funding expired, and the commitment that we have of our board members is outstanding. They are currently a volunteer board, not that they weren't a volunteer board before, they were also a volunteer board before, but at least they had staff through the grant and specific objectives that they were trying to reach that were supported financially. At this point in time, I'd ask the board members of NEOSC to stand. There's a number of you here, and I'd like you to stand and be recognized. There are too many to name, but on the back of your program, they are all listed individually, and individually they bring so much to the table that makes it collectively impressive. In the upcoming year, we're going to work at trying to implement that plan. In the early days of NEOSC, they developed the board developed a list of 237 projects which reflected the Vibrant Neo themes. In 2017, this past year, the board revisited the progress on those 237 projects. Now the board is reviewing the status of each one of those projects to compile a list of best practices and lessons learned, ultimately to share among communities and encourage others to use the framework. In order to facilitate that, in the upcoming year, board members from Vibrant Neo, as well as NOACA and other staff from the MPOs who are providing assistance, will be visiting communities and organizations around Northeast Ohio. We hope that you invite us to come out and visit you. What we hope is to help you better understand the Vibrant Neo framework so you can develop plans to meet your individual needs. We will facilitate that. we will take the large plan that is 12 counties. We subsequently broke that down to individual 12 plans for each county. We now would like to break that down further for individual communities. And again, we hope that you will let us know that you're interested in that. We will put something out formally in the upcoming weeks that will allow you to demonstrate your interest and then have us come out there and start working on that. We look forward to visiting those communities and recognizing, as we have the entire time of this process, we have big city, rural, and everything in between. We have suburban, we have exurban, and every community feels that they have something worthwhile that they'd like to keep and to share. And we want to ensure that all of those communities take what we have done in Vibrant Neo to assist them in making them better places to live and work, particularly as the population and our economic situation is ever changing here in Northeast Ohio. As we indicated during the process, the framework is not a one-size-fits-all. There are best practices in there that are made as part of the entire region's need, or the fact that the entire region can benefit from there. But every community might not have that in mind. But if every community even does just one thing, one of the 42 initiatives, one of the recommendations, looking at how to put together some of the work that you do towards the vision or the objectives, if even you just do one of those, we're all collectively better. And so no matter what your community looks like, the size, the age of the hometown, we have something to offer. And finally, which is the real reason why you're all here, we have so many exciting projects already happening in our region. We want to share that great news with you. In some cases, like the work that I shared with you earlier about NOACA, in some cases we were doing that work anyway, because that's the kind of organization we are, and the reason we joined into the Vibrant Neo effort is to align ourselves with them. But in some cases, the projects and the programs were spurred by the Vibrant Neo process. And we do want to recognize organizations that have done great work. Also, feel free to join our quarterly newsletter, social media sites, website, and continue to stay connected with us. So today's awards are the Vibrant Neo Champion Awards, and they were established to recognize individuals and organizations who excel in the 4 main themes of the framework. We are very pleased to receive so many high-quality nominations. And then a subset of the nominations were applications that were submitted to us based on those nominations, and then we came down with a list of winners and some other runners-up. And before we get to the winners, I do want to take a moment to acknowledge some of the great work going on in the region. While they didn't receive the project awards, they were not recognized for that, they're important and worthy of your attention, and certainly were very close behind the award winners. First up, Barberton's Mobile Community Access and Response Center. The City of Barberton initiative includes a mobile community center which will help deliver government and social services directly to low and moderate income neighborhoods. This project is part of the city's ongoing Barberton Forward, Neighborhoods First initiative. According to Mayor William B. Judge, the only way to understand individual needs is to put boots on the ground. We thought if we can't get people to the services, we'll take the services to the people. Very well done, Barberton. We thank you for this initiative, as I'm sure do your residents. Let's give them a round of applause. Next, the Northeast Ohio First Suburbs Consortium's regionalized code enforcement software implementation. 6 of the 19 communities within the First Suburbs Consortium have come together to launch a regionalized code enforcement software system which aims to improve existing systems, increase efficiency, provide data on trends and needs, save money, share best practices, and more. At a time when the demands on code enforcement departments are at their highest, improved systems will provide officials with a tool that will improve their ability to track, monitor, and identify the needs in their communities. We're excited to see this in action beginning in the next few months. Congratulations to you, First Suburbs Consortium, on a job well done. And very closely aligned with that initiative is the City of South Euclid's Comprehensive Neighborhood Revitalization Initiative. In 10 years, South Euclid has gone to having 20% of its housing stock in foreclosure and nearly a 10% vacancy rate, to having housing values increase almost 55%. Over $150 million of residential and commercial investment has been made in the city since 2010. This has been achieved through very innovative use of grant funds, public-private partnerships, and the formation of a community development corporation called One South Euclid. As a special note, the City of South Euclid is also taking part in the First Suburbs Consortium Regional Code Enforcement Software implementation. And they've credited strategic code enforcement as a key tool in helping to achieve revitalization. Now, that's regional. Congratulations as a runner-up to the City of South Euclid. Let's give them a round of applause. Next, I'd like to recognize Janice Ziegel, Executive Director of Senior Transportation Connection. Many of you know the STC, but for those of you that don't, they provide transportation to adults age 60 and over and adults with disabilities. The organization is a model for public-private partnerships. When you talk about collaboration, you look in the dictionary, it's got a picture of Janice and STC. Janice's leadership has grown STC from a grant-funded fledgling agency with 3 contracts to a $4 million nonprofit serving 29 communities, 10 social service agencies, and 12,000 passengers. The STC model is based upon collaboration to create efficiency, resulting in increased accessible transportation choices for older adults and adults with disabilities. We are thankful to you, Janice, and to your board for the services that you provide to all people, to all the people in Northeast Ohio that fit your constituency criteria. Thank you very much. Up next, the City of Kent's Summit Street Improvement Project. This project transformed a 1-mile stretch of Summit Street that runs through Kent State University's main campus. This collaborative, multi-agency effort addressed traffic and safety issues by reducing congestion, improving vehicular and pedestrian safety, increasing stormwater treatment capabilities, and improving the main entryway to the university. The investment will assist Kent State in attracting high-quality students and faculty to the university. I think we can all agree that attracting and retaining the workforce of the future is a smart investment all the way around. Well done, City of Kent. And finally, before we get to the actual award winners, I'd like to recognize Davie Resource Group's Cleveland Tree Plan. The Cleveland Tree Plan, led by the City of Cleveland, shows how trees are a solution to a broad range of environmental and social concerns. For the first time ever, Cleveland's urban forestry partners analyzed the spatial distribution of trees in the city. They related the number of trees to incidences of environmental and social health like asthma and obesity, and identified opportunities to grow the tree canopy, setting up some vision for the future to reforest the forest city. Thank you. These projects and many others are creating a more equitable, sustainable, and economically successful region. I'm so proud of the work that we're all doing as a region, and so encouraged that so many people, even represented by the room of folks today, understand the importance of the work of Vibrant Neo. Now let's move on to honoring our top stewards who are leading the way. I'd like to welcome our Vibrant Neo board member and awards committee chairperson, Kathy Hexter, up to the stage to announce this year's champions.
Thank you, Grace.
I'm going to stay up here to
I have to thank Grace for her great leadership of the Vibrant Neo board and really keeping this initiative going and keeping it in the public eye for all this time, 3 years since the plan framework was completed. So I think we really owe Grace a note of recognition. So I get the best job today. I get to announce the winners of our first annual 2018 Vibrant Neo Champion Awards. And it's very gratifying, I have to say, to see you all here because when we started planning this, we weren't quite sure where it would end up. As Grace said, the awards program was created by the Vibrant Neo board to publicly recognize all of the work that's been going on around our region that already really aligns with the Vibrant Neo planning framework. We wanted to hold that work up as examples and call attention to the good work that people are doing. And each of our winners is working in one of the 4 themes that Grace talked about: strengthen established communities, increase transportation choice, preserve and protect natural resources, promote collaboration and efficiency. And many of them are working across the themes, and some of them are even working across political and county boundaries to really impact the region. So we called for a group of volunteers from the board to help us plan this awards program. And I really need to thank the people that served on this committee. Mayor Chase Rittenauer, if you want to just stand up and you don't, Mayor Chase Rittenauer, Joel Ratner, President and CEO of Cleveland Neighborhood Progress, Kirby Date, works here at Cleveland State as a program manager, Paul Volpe, architect and urban designer, and Todd Ederer, principal of Ederer Real Estate and Construction. While volunteers are amazing, we all know that nothing happens without staff. And I need to extend a special thanks to Amy Stacy. She is the executive assistant and board liaison at NOACA, but that really doesn't even describe her job. Her organization and diplomatic skills held our committee together, moved us forward, and got us all here today. So thank you. Sincerely, thank you, Amy. As a regionally focused entity, we were thrilled to see so many entries from initiatives with broad, long-range goals that involved collaboration across jurisdictions. Let's applaud all of the initiatives, including the ones mentioned by Grace earlier. Okay, the entries were reviewed by a panel of judges, and I would like them to stand up and be recognized. We had 3 executive directors of 3 of our metropolitan planning organizations. Grace was on the panel, Joe Hadley, I don't know if Joe's here, and Jim Kinnick. We also had Sandra Madison, CEO of Robert P. Madison International Architects, and Naomi Sable, founder of Sustainable Community Associates. So thank you, judges. So now I get to announce our winners. And the awards will be given in two categories. The first category is the Regional Sustainability Awards, and we have 3 of those. They recognize projects, initiatives, or policies that further regional sustainability. When I announce your name, please come up to the stage to receive your award. Our first winner is the City of Akron's Great Streets Program. Accepting the award is Jason Segedy. Yeah. Through this program, the city will make a strategic, impactful, long-term investment in neighborhood business districts and focus current community and financial capital to generate greater impact. The Great Streets vision is to enhance, grow, and connect neighborhood business districts while empowering unique local culture that makes all their streets great streets. So congratulations. Our second Regional Sustainability Award winner is the City of Cleveland's 2018 Cleveland Climate Action Plan, Building Thriving and Resilient Neighborhoods for All. Matt, will you please come up? Accepting the award for the city is Matt Gray, Chief of Sustainability for the City of Cleveland. This community-wide plan and engagement process update will improve outcomes in health, access to green jobs, resiliency, and engagement through equitable climate action planning and implementation. Over the course of the update, over 450 people were engaged, and the work also supported 22 resident-led neighborhood-based projects. So congratulations, Matt and the city.
Thank you.
Our third and final award is the City of Shaker Heights Van Aken District Project. This project is a result, well, let's wait till they get up here. Congratulations, congratulations. This project is a result of a 15-year planning process for thoughtful, transit-oriented development involving multiple partners, public and private. Developed at the terminus of the Greater Cleveland RTA's Blue Line, transit is truly at the heart of the project. By leveraging and building off existing transit infrastructure, the district is introducing a regionally accessible mixed-use hub for employment, living, retail, and entertainment options in a previously faltering commercial district. Accepting the award today is Joyce Braverman, Director of Planning, and David Weiss, Mayor of the City of Shaker Heights. Congratulations. This project is 3 blocks from my house, so I'm very excited.
You know, and actually, I do want to mention that although there are 3 award winners, and we said 1, 2, 3, they are not in an order of 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
And having a board of 45 mayors, I often need to clarify things. So they were alphabetical. Akron, Cleveland, Shaker. Just want to make that clear.
Now it's my pleasure to announce the 3 Regional Collaboration Award winners. These initiatives also exemplify the themes and vision recommendations from Vibrant Neo, and they are cross-cutting and collaborative in a way that has the potential for broader regional impact and scalability. Again, when I announce your name, please come up to accept your award. Our first winner in this category is the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission's Cuyahoga Greenways project. This is a county-wide effort to build an interconnected system of greenways and urban trails that tie in with public transportation and parks to offer recreational opportunities and options for getting around the region, improving the community's mobility options, health, well-being, and economic vitality. Accepting the award today is Glenn Coyne, Executive Director of the Cuyahoga County Planning Commission. Congratulations. Thank you very much. Our second Regional Collaboration Award winner is the Mayors of Mahoning River Association's River Corridor Restoration and Dam Removal Project. Mayors, please come up. I am so impressed by this initiative of all of the mayors working together, I have to say. This initiative brings together nine mayors from the cities along the banks of the Mahoning Valley to restore the Mahoning River, improve water quality, expand recreational opportunities, and generate new economic development along the river. Accepting the award is the Honorable William Franklin, Mayor of the City of Warren. Congratulations, Mayor.
My phone is going crazy.
Our third and final winner in this category is the Western Reserve Land Conservancy's Thriving Communities Program.
You probably didn't think there was a W after Warren, but Western Reserve.
In 7 years, In only 7 years, this program has helped create 53 land banks in counties around the state. It has raised $440 million for blight remediation, conducted vacant property surveys in Cleveland, Akron, Lorain, and other cities, conducted groundbreaking research on the impact of blight, created an innovative urban tree planting program, and led one of the nation's best examples of cross-sector collaboration with local government. Accepting the award is Rich Cochran, President and CEO of the Western Reserve Land Conservancy. So I hope you're all inspired, and again, this is our first year, so next year, think of all the great projects that you can nominate and submit and help us out. And let's have a round of applause for all of the award winners. Now it is my distinct pleasure and honor to announce our Regional Champion Award winner. This award was set up to recognize an individual or individuals who inspire others to act and who demonstrate vision, leadership, and action furthering the Vibrant Neo vision and theme areas. This year, the Vibrant Neo Board has selected not one, but 3 regional leaders for this award. Together, they have improved the quality of life for Northeast Ohio residents across our 12-county region. These 3 individuals have contributed to building a culture of collaboration and trust and overcoming political fragmentation. The Vibrant Neo Board would like to award Ronald Richard, India Pierce-Lee, and Lillian Curry, the leadership team of the Cleveland Foundation, for their extraordinary leadership. I want to personally say that I've had the pleasure and privilege of working with all 3 of them, and they truly are inspiring leaders, as I'm sure you would all agree. We applaud their efforts in revitalizing urban neighborhoods, promoting transit-oriented development, supporting civic infrastructure, assisting programs like the Senior Transportation Connection, attracting young talent to our region, investing in new technologies, and setting a national standard for transparency, connectivity, vision, and investment in the region. The list goes on. Please welcome champion winners India Pierce-Lee and Lillian Curry to the stage to accept their awards and talk to us about the work that the Cleveland Foundation is doing.
As you can tell by the weight, these are some serious awards.
So on behalf of Ron Richard, the board of the Cleveland Foundation, and to the committee and board of the Vibrant Neo, we thank you. This is actually an honor to be before you. And as we say at the foundation, we are the community's foundation. So we're here to serve the residents and the stakeholders of our region, and we thank you for supporting us. Just for those that don't know a lot about the Cleveland Foundation, we're the first community foundation in the world, started in 1914. We serve Cuyahoga, Lake, and Geauga County, and our current assets consist of about $2.6 billion. What we do, grant making. Last year we gave $100 million annually throughout these 3 counties, totaling, I have to say this, 4,790 grants. I always like to say that part. It's a lot of work, a lot of things that we support, a lot of what you've heard. Our fundraising is an annual average of about $50 million annually, and we have catalytic community leadership and change. The Greater University Circle Initiative that Lillian and I began in 2005, working with anchor institutions, Case Western, Cleveland State, Case Western, Cleveland Clinic, University Hospitals, the city, and many others. The Health Tech Corridor, Now Say Yes to Education, and Common Ground are just a few. As an overview, a century of impact, we've helped to create and start the Metro Parks. We rescued Playhouse Square theaters from demolition and assisted in the rebuilding and reimagining of Public Square. As I talked about our grant making in 2017, this gives you a kind of a view of where our dollars have gone. And this includes donor-advised, designating, supporting organizations, all of our grant making over the year. And as you can see, a lot in education, a lot in health and social services, and neighborhoods as well. But it gives you an overview of what the foundation does with so many partners throughout the region. And with that, I'll turn over to Lillian. But 2 years ago, we began this conversation, listening to the community. Why place matters. Last year, we had nearly 4,000 participants representing 88 regional zip codes across 104 hosted locations in 5 counties. And listening to the community to understand what the needs are, to hear about transportation, to hear about sustainability, to hear about housing and things that people care about in their communities is really important. And now Lillian will talk about some of those projects that we have looked at and supported over the years.
Thank you very much. It's such an honor. And, you know, when Grace called and we were so honored to get this award, it was really also exciting for us to take a second look, a fresh look at what the priorities are of Vibrant Neo and how they really do align with the Cleveland Foundation and where we actually in the past and currently are putting dollars to work. So with Grace's call, I decided to take a look at your 4 areas, regional collaboration, transportation, existing communities, and also preserving natural areas, and highlight, and this is just a few recent grants that we've made in these areas. So in regional collaboration, and Steve Love is here, our program director for sustainability and environment, we've been supporting the entire Lake Erie Basin Collaborative with other funders to really look at the Great Lakes region around Lake Erie. We supported the Almost Award winner, put dollars into the First Suburbs Development Corporation for the regional code enforcement. That is a recent grant that we just made. We support the Western Reserve Land Conservancy, the Lake Erie Wind Project, and the County Land Bank. And these are just a few, but sometimes it's not clear to the community that we support regional collaboration in the way we do, and really do support the county as well as Lake and Geauga counties where we do tremendous work. In the area of transportation, I just wanted to highlight a few. I know RTA is here today. We've had a really strong partnership with RTA for quite a while, actually, since we started Greater University Circle, but even before that. We recently supported an entire study of the Red Line to look at transit-oriented development. We've supported bike share planning and now continue in that area. We supported with NOACA a recent support of the Hyperloop planning project for the route, and an unusual grant for us, but felt that it's really important for Cleveland to really be forward-looking in how we're thinking about transportation planning. Our long work with RTA in redesigning and capitalizing on existing transit stations, including the Red Line stations in University Circle. And most recently, our integration of our arts investments with transit have been supporting in our phase 2 support of the interurban public art along the Red Line that is very aligned with our Anisfield Wolf Book Awards. I think we're probably the only city in the country that has a mural project that thematically is on race and inclusion, and really in some ways sets us apart there in terms of a type of public art project. And our intention is to continue there and make it the largest outdoor gallery in the world when it's done. And we support policy in transportation, and Stephen Love, who's here, supported some state planning around public transportation funding in Ohio. And in strengthening existing communities, I could have made 10 slides because it is really where we're focused in terms of a lot of our neighborhood revitalization. So just supported the Lakewood CDC, Lakewood Alive. We funded a millennial study that looked at the entire county, and actually some of the most interesting data points out of this study of millennials' impact in Cleveland was actually in Lakewood and outside, in terms of some findings in that report that really show that we need to look to what's happening in the inner ring suburbs around where young people are moving. Here also, more recently, is our support with other funders of the redesign of Shaker Square, which we're really excited to work with Shaker Heights on this very important historical asset. Joel is here. We consider our long partnership and investment in neighborhood progress and the community development infrastructure as absolutely critical to the strengthening of not just the neighborhoods, but the city and the region as a whole. Strong neighborhoods really are what is going to strengthen this entire region. In the arts, we do support arts groups. Most people don't know this outside of the city of Cleveland, like Bay Arts and Heights Arts, and certainly have been supportive with the Gunn Foundation and others in helping to create the public funding for the arts, which is a regional effort. One thing that you may not know is through India's leadership, we have a really big focus on leadership and young leadership. And so we have a series of things we fund every year. Summer internship program, which is about 20 young people that get paid every summer to work in nonprofits. We have also a public service fellowship program, which is a year-long program, and National Urban Fellows. Some are here today. But I'd like to point out that a lot of them are placed out in the region. So we've had public service fellows in the city of Euclid, in Fairport Harbor, in Shaker Heights. We've had one at NOACA as well. And then lastly, but really important for us, and goes back to our 100-year history of really preserving natural areas, we have been really in lockstep with others to try to acquire important land along the Lake Erie the canal and for the towpath. We've worked with the Trust for Public Land, which is not on this list, to help acquire strategic parcels for preservation for public use. Recently, we supported the Snow Lake Nature Preserve. If you don't know, it's absolutely beautiful. It's the picture up here at the top. And we helped in the Lake and Geauga Fund to fund the Overlook Tower that is the lower picture at Lake Erie Bluffs. And so we really believe that the natural assets in our region that need to be preserved are those that we care tremendously about. So just wanted to highlight how important it is for us to work together, to collaborate with all the communities and actually all the nonprofits that we work in collaboration with together to support your vision and our vision, and the work going forward we really have to do together. And so we're truly honored for this award, and thank you. And so on behalf of India and Ron and the foundation, really excited to be a part of this. So thank you very much.
Okay, this brings us to a panel discussion. But before we do, let's give all the winners another round of applause. And I ask the panelists to please come to the stage. I hope you know who you are. If not, I'll just have to start randomly calling on people to participate. So I'm going to ask a few questions of our award winners here, and I'll start with a question to one of you, and then any of you, please feel free to offer your comments as well. And so the first project question I would like to throw to Glenn Coyne of Cuyahoga County. You are sitting in the right seat, and of course any seat you sit in would be the right seat, Glenn. What was the motivation for your project?
Well, first I want to say that I just drew the short straw being here. We have a table full of people that are our partners. So Cleveland Metro Parks and NOACA were our two partners on this project. So we just, I don't know if that's alphabetical or what, but we got to present. But there was a tremendous amount of, is this not on? Okay, there's a tremendous amount of momentum in lots of people talking about trails, and it's been going on for a long time. And we at the county felt like there really wasn't a umbrella plan or a guide to put us to where we wanted to go. So it really started out talking about how we could connect up the county with trails, but more than just active transportation or greenways or trails, we looked at this as three other needs. One, there's a geographic inequality in our county with where access to trails are. Metro Parks is fantastic. The towpath is great. The Lake Link Trail is good. We have all these things there, but not everybody has access to that. So we started with the existing system and decided where were those inequities and where could we connect people to that. Second, and this was mentioned earlier, I think by grace, is that we've got some roadways with an enormous amount of excess capacity and not a whole lot of cars and trucks on it, so that we're blessed with some room to fit in some greenways and trails. So that was a second thing. And then third and finally, we thought very long and hard about who's using these, and is it families, is it young folks, is it people who aren't comfortable wearing spandex and riding 60 miles an hour. So we looked at all ages and abilities and thought about it from the standpoint of it's not just bike advocates and it's not just people who do this every day, but the whole community and have access to it. So that's really what we tried to start out with.
Great. Anyone else want to share anything specific about what motivated them to do their project before I move on to the next question?
I'll take that.
I was hoping you would.
Yeah, okay. Our project with the dam restoration or dam removal project, it's kind of interesting, and really I have to mention Eastgate Council of Governments and Jim Kinnick. They're really the glue regionally that holds our collaborative together. But it's a group of mayors that actually borders the Mahoning River, and it spans 2 counties. There's 7 mayors and 9 dams, and we're often called the dam mayors. But it's really a really interesting collaborative, and we've been able to actually bring together all of our resources and collaborate with the state to start the process of dam removals. We've identified it as, I believe, a $12 million project after we've done all of the title searches and all the necessary background work. I think last week we started with the first dam, and unfortunately I'm on the far end of the stream, so they'll get to mine, and Mayor Waddell, who's with us from Newton Falls, they'll get to his and mine last. Well, not his, but mine last. But it's very encouraging to see the cooperation and the collaboration that we get from the state, just because we're united in our purpose. We always say that, and I know that other mayors in this room can attest that no mayor is above plagiarism. If something works in another community, we often copy it and share that with other mayors, and that's how we've made it in the past and will continue in the future. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor Franklin. I was hoping you were going to add to the question that I gave Glenn, because I have the second question for you, and I thought it would be a nice prelude to that question, which is, were there any barriers to your project in terms of implementation or getting people on board?
It was easy to get everyone on board. The actual challenge is with most projects was financing, but we've been able to get some assistance from the Ohio EPA and give us some different kinds of funding formulas that's pretty creative that we're going to implement, at least locally in my city, and the other mayors can share that as well. So that's one of the challenges, but all of the mayors are on board. As mayors, we don't have the luxury of, it helps that we all like each other, but our collaboration is a matter of necessity, and anyone in Northeast Ohio knows that we've been bred by hard times, and as with most legacy cities, we've adopted an attitude or a DNA of getting up and fighting and brushing ourselves off when we get knocked down. And I think that spirit has carried our collaborative to where it is today. It's very encouraging to work with all of these communities, but particularly the Port Authority, who's here with us as well. They provide tremendous support. And the Eastgate Council of Governments. So those are the organizations, and all of us mayors really rely on them to keep us all together and keep us on task, because it's a very difficult job with mayors. Thank you.
Great. Next question is going to go to Jason Segedy of the City of Akron. How did the citizens or businesses respond when they first learned of your project?
So thanks again for the award. We're really honored to have received it. When businesses and citizens first reacted to Great Streets, it was really interesting. One of the biggest questions that I get at City Hall is, does the city want to focus on neighborhoods or on downtown? And my very truthful answer is always yes, because we need a strong downtown and we need strong neighborhoods. And so really Great Streets looks at the neighborhoods through a slightly different lens. So in our downtown, one of our goals is to recreate it as what people commonly think of as a neighborhood, which means people that live in it. In the Great Streets areas, the goal is almost the opposite, that we want to recreate those areas as downtown. So the Great Streets program focuses on 10 historic business districts in the city of Akron, most of which grew up on streetcar lines. The second component of it is that I'm going to paint with a broad brush, but for a long time, the city's economic development strategy tended to focus more on, I'll call it, scouring the globe for companies. And if you know of any companies that want to locate in Akron from around the globe, see me after the meeting, because I'll be happy to work on that. But it's fair to say that we wanted to swing the pendulum back a little bit to small business, to entrepreneurship, to place-based economic development. And so I think from the business community, the reaction was very, very favorable, that people were glad to see that the city was taking an interest in these neighborhood business districts. I think for the general public as well, the Great Streets program, I won't go into great detail, but it really focuses on everything in the public and private realm in these 10 business districts. So the things the city directly oversees and controls, like the design of the street. Akron has been, Mayor Horrigan, my boss, I'm proud to say, has been very progressive about restriping streets and creating streets that are friendly to cyclists and pedestrians, but also the private sector. We really want to work with the businesses, so we have a facade grant program that we do with our community development block grant funds, some micro lending and other assistance for the businesses. So it really is kind of how the street looks and feels, and I think to end on what you asked about, Grace, just people are responding to that. They're seeing physical changes to the streets now. They're seeing revitalization of the physical look of the business district and things the city can do with rezoning and so forth. So we're excited about the program, and the response has been very positive.
Great. Does anybody else, like Joyce, have something to add to that?
Thank you. I would like to add to that. So in Shaker Heights, this process to redevelop this intersection started in the year 2000 with our strategic investment plan, and our residents were very involved in that. So over the period of time of 18 years, we had 6 plans and 60 public meetings. And so no one was surprised by this, and many residents helped conceive of the plan. So they came to workshops and charrettes, and they drew on maps. And so this was really their plan as much as the city's plan or our partner's plan. We did a transit-oriented development plan with RMS, the developer, and GCRTA, because we do have the Blue Line terminus at this project. And so we worked together. We also did 2 other transit plans because as we move forward, conditions changed, and we had to keep reimagining with RTA how this rapid station was going to fit into the transit-oriented plan. So our residents are just impatient for everything to be open, and most of the development is open at this point, but they are very, very supportive.
Anyone else, Matt?
Yeah, I mean, through our process, we were amazed at the creativity of the residents around climate action. I mean, this topic can feel absolutely overwhelming, right? It's really one of the biggest global issues of our time. If you've read the recent reports, right, we basically can get to 1.5 degrees Celsius globally in terms of an increase. We're already at 1 degree. And what this recent UN report says, right, is that we basically need to restructure our entire economy in 15 years globally to meet this challenge. So it can feel overwhelming. So as we went through this process and this plan about what we do locally around climate action, we kind of tested this theory of can we plan and implement at the same time. So we did 12 neighborhood workshops. We worked with Neighborhood Progress, IOBI, stands for In Our Backyard, to do crowdfunding. And we got, through those 12 workshops, 40 project ideas from residents about how they lead in their neighborhood. And we provide match funding to 20 of those projects. Everything from putting solar on a food pantry, multiple composting projects, tree planting projects down the line. So just the resident engagement this time for our planning process was just much better than our first climate plan in 2013, and it just made it that much stronger in terms of our final product.
Matt, while you're there at the microphone, what other projects are you currently working on related to sustainability, or maybe tell us a little bit more about some of the ones you're moving forward?
Well, you know, the problem with the plan is you have to implement it, so that's that's going to be a challenge. First, I do want to give a shout out to our office in the back. This is a huge endeavor, and just thank all of them for all their work. We have 28 objectives, 108 actions in this plan. We worked with 90 organizations, including NOACA and many, many others on this work. So there's no shortage of work to do. I think, you know, one of the key areas is transportation, clearly. There's so many areas we have to work on to create this multimodal system and just create healthier transportation options. And you know, one is bike share. Talked about expanding bike share next year, make it more equitable, more bigger areas of the city. You know, we're talking about electric vehicles. I mean, there's a lot of areas we're leading, I'd say regionally. Electric vehicles is not one of them. We're falling behind some cities in terms of infrastructure, so I think there's opportunity there around electrifying our fleets and providing cleaner air for our residents. Of course, public transit, down the line. And I'd say the other area is trees, and you heard the award for the Cleveland Tree Plan. You know, it's a huge area. We've lost about half our canopy in 50 years. That's a lot of trees. And the health impacts there, the property value impacts, air quality, water quality, down the line. A simple street tree does so much for us. So we worked with 30 organizations, you know, Western Reserve, Holden, Cleveland Neighborhood Progress, down the line, to really implement this tree plan. That's a big priority going forward over the next couple of years.
How did you lose 50% of your canopy in 50 years?
Sorry to do that. Can't blame me. You know, we became fully developed as a community, so just turning a lot of hardscape over since World War II is a big piece of it. Long story short, we didn't prioritize it, honestly. It just wasn't a big priority for the entire community. And, you know, over time, we just lost canopy. We still average losing canopy like 90 acres a year. So just to keep pace at 19%, we have to plant a lot. So that it really required a regional collaboration to be able to tackle an issue this big. So we're just really thankful to all the partners to help put this plan together.
Very good.
Maybe, Rich, if you want to add.
Okay, next question then. To Rich, what advice do you have for other communities or organizations that want to implement more sustainable projects?
Thank you. I guess some context here in terms of our project that we're being recognized for. When we, as an organization, first started looking at how we can utilize our strengths to help urban areas in Northeast Ohio, one of the first things we decided was we had to attract the right people to lead that, because as a formerly, we're the result of 13 mergers. So we were all ex-urban land conservancies when we merged with each other, but then all of a sudden we served a region that included major cities like Youngstown and Cleveland and Akron and Lorain and many others that you're all aware of. So we had to figure out how do we deploy those strengths into those cities, our existing strengths and new strengths, hopefully. And the first thing was we had to recruit the right people. So we recruited Jim Rokakis, who unfortunately can't be with us here today. And really hats off to Jim for developing the program, for leading the program, for being really a hero, I think, in terms of urban revitalization, and not only in Northeast Ohio, but really now becoming nationally recognized. And then people like Tom Chema, who's here, one of my trustees, recruited Tom to the board. He's the chair of our Thriving Communities Program Committee at the board level, obviously has tremendous civic leadership experience, and many others. Mitchell Snyder's our board chairman, tons of urban revitalization, urban redevelopment experience, transportation, trail building experience. So I think the key thing I would say to everyone is you have to identify, attract, and get on your team the right leaders to do projects at scale. I would also say that you have to be willing to make sacrifices. I was just sharing this with some of our staff yesterday, and so I'm going to share it with you. It would sound prideful if I said this, but somebody else wrote it, so I'm going to share it with you. The woman's an author. Her name is Michelle Hunt. She's a journalist and a not really a novelist. She's a journalist and a book writer, nonfiction. And she's not from Cleveland, but she studied our urban program a number of years ago when we were 2 or 3 years into it. And she wrote a book and included a large section of the book on our urban programs. And she wrote, and I quote, "The amazing part of this story, from my perspective, is that a regional land conservation organization that was founded in Hunting Valley, one of the most affluent and racially uniform residential communities in America, home to a $70 million municipal endowment, countless millionaires and several billionaires, that this organization merged with 12 other land trusts from the region known as Northeast Ohio, and as part of their mission launched a major urban revitalization program in distressed cities such as Cleveland and Youngstown. This shattered the preconceived notion I held that conservation organizations and most people living in the suburbs and the countryside were apathetic to the plight of the poor. It became clear to me that their vision is holistic, that they understand how everything is connected, and that the organization has developed innovative, stereotype-shattering programs that make conservation essential rather than simply nice to have." End quote. I share that with you because that did happen, and a lot of people criticized our organization for doing it, even left our organization at the board level and the staff level for launching this urban program, and it was controversial for several years. And what I would say to people who are contemplating launching new programs is what I said first, which is number one, get the right people, but number two, don't be afraid of that pushback. Don't be afraid of that change, because had we not gone forward, we wouldn't have raised $440 million for urban revitalization in Ohio. We wouldn't have helped to establish now 54 county land banks. We wouldn't have done any of that. We wouldn't be part of the Cleveland Tree Plan, probably, which I think is going to be the most impactful civic project that I will ever have the opportunity to work on in my lifetime and career. So I would just encourage everyone to take those risks and to suffer with the consequences, but do it with the right people, and then it'll succeed.
Great, thank you very much. This question is for everybody, but maybe to start with Joyce, since yours is probably the most commercial project. But the environment and the economy are often pitted against each other. Can you explain how your projects are good for both?
Well, I'd like to start with saying this is a redevelopment of existing developed land as well as existing assets. So this is a Grayfield site. RMS Development redeveloped a shopping center built in the 1950s that they built and they owned, and we were fortunate that they decided to be the developer. We also are reusing assets of RTA. We have 4 bus lines. We have the Blue Line, which is fixed rail, which is not going anywhere. So we're making use of what we already have. So it's very sustainable in that way. It also promotes multiple uses of transportation. I mentioned bus and rapid, but also bike and walking. This is a very walkable district. There's about 12,000 people within walking distance of this site, and then many that come on bus and rapid. We also have new multi-purpose paths that we are building. We just finished one on Farnsley Road, and in 2019, with NOACA's support, we will be building one on Warrensville Center Road for bike and pedestrians. And so in that way, we're being sustainable by reusing what we already have. In terms of economic development and the economy, it strengthens a first-rank suburb. It strengthens a town that's been here since the 1910s. It also adds jobs. RMS is adding at their site in Phase 1 250 jobs, and this adds to the jobs in the whole district of a couple thousand. And it contributes to our tax base, obviously, by increasing tax rate. But mostly, it keeps an inner-ring suburb competitive.
Anyone else, Rich?
Yeah, I'd like to add, I think this is a false premise that we all need to be aware of and have the ability to counter, this premise that the environment and the economy are at odds with each other. It kind of reminds me of your answer, which is yes. You need the environment and you need the economy, and they need to cooperate with each other and be in harmony with each other. And that's where you have enduring prosperity. Where you have fleeting prosperity is when the environment is sacrificed for the economy. Where you have enduring prosperity is where the environment and the economy are in harmony with each other in a given community. And we all have different kinds of natural assets. All over the world, there are different kinds of natural assets that support human communities. In the city of Cleveland, the most important natural asset right now is more tree canopy. We need to have it to support a healthy economy, to support healthy property values, to support healthy mental health, to support healthy human lives, everything about stormwater, everything Matt mentioned. You need that environmental infrastructure in order to have an enduring and prosperous city, whereas in parts of Trumbull County, you need to have thousands and thousands of acres of prime soils in production. If you don't have those thousands and thousands of acres of prime soil in production, the entire economy of parts of Trumbull County and Huron County and Wayne County would literally fall apart. And there's a lot of collateral damage that's done when those acres aren't in production. And in this village of Moreland Hills, you need to have Cleveland Metro Parks and beautiful parks and preserves. Otherwise, the people who are attracted to live there in that high-end community won't live there. So these things always go hand in hand. It's a complete false premise. It drives me insane that we haven't gotten over this in America yet. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, but I guess I want to bring this conviction to the room because you're all leaders in this regard, and we need to bring this message out more beyond our circle.
Matt?
Yeah, just building on that, it's not even just environment versus economy. Sometimes it's like environment versus people, or equitable economy or equity. And we faced that a lot in our climate action plan. So what we did, working with 20 organizations, we created this racial equity tool, where essentially we asked 5 series of questions for every single objective in this plan around equity. And basically, at the end of the day, if it wasn't good not only for the economy, but for all members of the community to benefit from the climate action, then we would redo that action. We would redo that objective. So kind of building on that, going even beyond, racial equity training, which is happening throughout the community, thanks to Cleveland Neighborhood Progress and others, how do we take that to the next level of, institutionalizing that racial equity into our organizations? And it's very difficult, but it's, just to start that process is important. So that was important for us.
Glenn?
Yeah, I just want to mention very quickly that one of the ways that we prioritize which routes we were recommending, the be regional routes or be supporting routes or be priorities, is that we did a bunch of analyses where we compared, and our consultants were brilliant in doing this, Smith Group and WSP, in looking at jobs to transit, where people live, to where these open space and parks were. We did that analysis of those 2 different variables on like 8 different maps. They're really complicated. I could spend all day explaining it, would bore you. But just suffice to say, there's a lot of data, a lot of input that looked at, as you guys were just saying, we have great open spaces. We'd love to have more, but it's just people don't have access to it. Same with jobs. There's lots of jobs in this county, but people can't get to them either by bus or by bike or by car or any other way. So we looked at those disparities, and that helped us to prioritize which routes we were recommending. So I don't know that it answers your question, but it certainly was part of our analysis that feeds exactly into what you guys were just talking about.
Jason?
Yeah, I totally agree with the false choice part of it and everything that's been said. And, Mayor Horrigan's big strategic goal for the city of Akron is to grow the population back to 250,000 people by 2050. And one reason we care so strongly about that is because all of these things are interconnected. So residential opportunities go hand in hand with retail opportunities and jobs. And what's happened today in the city of Akron, 81% of the people that make over $40,000 a year that work in Akron don't live in Akron. So we've got a tremendous amount of people from outside the city coming in. Conversely, and this gets to great streets, a lot of our traditional business districts, all of that has moved out of the city. And so for low-income folks, and this gets to the equity question, it's particularly difficult both for them to get to jobs as well as for them to have shopping opportunities. And I think the environmental part in particular is we're spending, and Grace knows this probably better or as well as anyone in this room, we're spending a lot of money as a society to transport people back and forth, to move people from the inner city to the suburbs for jobs and shopping, and to move suburbanites into the city for work. And so I think revitalizing urban neighborhoods, we start to get a better balance between those two things.
And Mayor Franklin, I'm going to let you have the last word.
Thank you. It's kind of ironic, the question is well suited for our project because I'd look at it in a historical context. The Mahoning River was used, if we rewind the clock, for about 20 years ago to cool a lot of the steel mills along the river, which obviously that was why a lot of communities were set up along the river. We had a study done, and it was told to us that the average, during that time when the river was being used to cool some of the steel mill for processing, the average temperature of the water in the river was 105 degrees. So if you can imagine, nothing could live in that kind of environment. So that, now, along with that, we had the jobs and the so-called prosperity and economic development, but after that left, we were left with a river that was damaged, that was full of toxins, and the jobs that left, so the economy, the economy growth and the economy benefits along, and we were left with this river that was contaminated and had all of these challenges. So that sort of caused an impetus amongst us mayors and the Eastgate Council of Government support to look at it. One is kind of unique because we're unique in the fact that we have the river running straight through our city. And I will say, the river is cleaning itself up. It's going to be enhanced by additional dam removal. We are actually looking at recreational opportunities. We're already seeing investment. Our downtown, there's a trend towards young millennials and young people, and some of us older people, moving back downtown. So we're seeing the benefits of using the environment to create economic sustainability and investment. So it's working very well for us. We just need to take it to the next step. But there is to me, there is no conflict. I think the environment is an economic development asset, and we all need to be convicted to that fact that you can use your environment for sustainability and investment. We're seeing people talking about canoe livers, residential condos along for some of those cities along the river. So it's working very well. We just have to keep our foot on the accelerator.
Thank you very much. I could spend the rest of the afternoon hearing about the projects and more about how you get your work done, but unfortunately, we're starting to run out of time. I do want to thank our panelists and award winners for being here and for spending a few minutes of their time sharing about their work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Panelists, you may return to your seats while I just give a few closing remarks. I just also want to thank some folks. Again, I mentioned our board earlier. Thank you to our board. Thank you. We thanked Amy. We thanked our mayors, although I didn't do such a great job of identifying them. We make sure we get notes on the way in about who is here. And thank you to Cleveland State, to Kathy Hexter, for giving us the space and for really being a part of the Vibrant Neo effort. As the dean stated earlier in his welcome, Cleveland State has always engaged in scholarship that has promoted sustainability and equity, the things that we stand for in Vibrant Neo. And they committed a lot of time and effort and produced output for the original Vibrant Neo application as well as the plan itself. And to that, if you folks are here, Mark Salling, Tom Beyer, Kirby Date, Stuart Mendel, and two folks that I know are not here, they're already gone, but Ned Hill and Kevin O'Brien. Just want to thank folks from Cleveland State who spent, as I said, a lot of time in their individual centers for economic development, for financing, doing the GIS mapping or other things. Thank you very much to Cleveland State and to the rest of you who've participated along the way and/or who are interested in participating in the future. Again, this isn't so much about what we've done in the past, it's about executing the plan. And as you can see by today's award winners and some of the stories they've told, and even the runners-up and some of the stories that were told for them, we're doing a lot of work here in Northeast Ohio. And it is very much aligned with a vibrant, sustainable community, and I want to encourage you to see the work that we're doing and to invite us out to your communities, and we will create a special plan just for you. So thank you. This concludes the Vibrant Neo Awards, and have a great afternoon.